Live from PressCorps World Headquarters, this is Foxhole Flash, bringing you the latest updates from across the Siva Valley war zone. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it is day 75. At least I think it's day 76. There you go. Day 76, you get cooped up in the studios. Well, you lose track of all sense of time. Warden forces continue to capture and lock down the Lynn of Mercy as colonials are forced to fall back and fortify positions in Faranic and Lockmore. Green engineers were last seen erecting defenses at Mercy's Wish, in particular in anticipation for an assault, or perhaps a counterattack of their own. We'll have to wait and see. In the Deadlands, Legionnaire forces managed to recapture Bryan Glen, opening up a flank east of the pits and making any attacks on the Collie stronghold at Salt Farms think twice. However, Warden troops have also driven a wedge between the colonial towns of Salt Farms and Liberation Point, taking the fort at Sun's Hollow. Whether or not that may turn into some sort of wedge in between the two and actually concertedly push on either of those towns, we'll just have to see how that develops. If there's anywhere the Collies have found a stable line, it's in southwest Drowned Vale, where Sievish forces have failed to make gains in weeks. Indeed, of the three central regions that make up the front line, Drowned has seen the least action. As anyone with a semblance of a tactical mind knows, the sprawling waterways and thin choke points make for excellent kill zones. And with the latest deployment of the heavy machine gun, or HMG, defensive positions have only become that much harder to assault. Looking at the casualty rates here, latest ones from FoxholeStats.com. FoxholeStats.com, your latest in casualty numbers and other updates of the war, currently stands at 52,589 Warden dead compared to 55,450 colonial dead. That's about a difference of more or less 3,000, a widening gap from the 1,000 plus that the Collies had on top of the Wardens, but we'll have to see how wide that actually develops. That may have owed to the assault on the first coin yesterday. But in the meantime, we'll keep watching those numbers for you. With updates every 15 and 45 of the hour, if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue. But for now, let's get back to the music where we're bringing you to the top of the hour. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 76. Warden forces capture and lock down the Lynn of Mercy as colonials are forced to fall back and fortify positions in the adjacent regions of Faranic and Lockmore. Green engineers were last seen erecting defenses at Mercy's Wish, in particular in anticipation for an assault, or perhaps a counterattack of their own. But if one were to materialize in the next few hours, well, we can see where that buildup is going. In the Deadlands, Legionnaire forces managed to recapture Bryan Glen, opening up a flank east of the pits and making any attackers on the Collie stronghold at Salt Farms think twice. However, Warden troops have also driven a wedge between the colonial towns of Salt Farms and Liberation Point, taking the fort at Sun's Hollow. If there's anywhere the Collies have found a stable line, it's in southwest Drowned Vale, where Sievish forces have failed to make gains in the past few weeks. Indeed, of the three central regions that make up the front line, Drowned has seen the least action, as anyone with a semblance of a tactical mind knows the sprawling waterways and thin choke points make for excellent kill zones. And with the latest deployment of the heavy machine gun, or HMG, defensive positions have only become that much harder to assault. We'll have to see until the deployment of the mortar, which is rumored to be next on the deployment list. See how that affects the battlefield, considering it's the first of the fire support items. I think it'll be a lot. In other news, this report coming from the PressCorps' very own Robert Spark, over 1,300 reenactors took part in a historical reenactment set during the musket and cannon era of the Valley Colonial Civil War, the Battle of Red River. Dr. Simon Healy says, quote, "Reenactments like this are the best way to get the public's mind out of the modern doom and gloom and into the doom and gloom of the past, when everyone had cooler-looking uniforms," unquote. Despite technical issues and a general lack of organization, most found the experience fun, rewarding, and great for the community before they go back and kill each other on the battlefield. With updates every 15 and 45 of the hour, if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue so we can get your point of view of the war onto the airwaves. But for now, let's get back to the music. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 76. Wardens continue their strong offensive push across the central regions as colonials attempt to hold the line. In Lockmore, Wardens are reportedly attacking Mercy's Wish from the northwest, making a move on the critical bridge to Mercy's Wish and their western land bridge into the area. The only land route left for supplies to get through. Reports indicate approximately 20 Wardens are involved with the attack, although defenders appear to be flooding into the area, knowing that if Mercy's Wish falls and the bridge goes down, they will be hard-pressed to take it back. Meanwhile, in the Deadlands, collies have turned to block-by-block defense of the salt farms, with Wardens already driving a wedge between Salt Farms Town Hall and its western safe house. Blue infantry are reported just a few dozen meters away from the town square. If the Colonials lose the salt farms, their last holdout in the region will be Liberation Point on the region's west-southwest edge, south of the River Mercy, but still on the south side of the river near Abandoned Ward. They will still have land routes into Liberation Point from Lockmore. However, they will also have to be wary of a possible three-pronged assault from the Warden-held Prairie Bazaar in the northwest, the bridge from the north, and of course the ever-imposing Abandoned Ward to the east. Meanwhile, in Drowned Vale, a lot less action, however. There is reports of small colonial offensive action in the north-northwest near Wisp's Warning. How many colonials are involved, we're not quite sure, but we'll have to keep an eye out on that. All in all, an overall colonial defensive posture is taking place across the central regions, but small acts of offensive action may be able to find a way around the large warden groups and possibly make some progress in the meantime. Owing to that includes the Sun's Hollow, the fort at Sun's Hollow, where the Wardens recently lost a fort they had there, no doubt due to the Warden concentration of fighting in salt farms. But, again, similar actions like that may prove some hope and some lifeline for the collies, assuming they can also simultaneously hold the line. With updates every 15 and 45 of the hour, if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue, so we can get your perspective of the war, whether it's happening right in front of you or whether you'd like to share a story. Hop on and we'll make sure to get you on the airwaves. But for now, let's get back to the music. We'll keep an eye out for all the action that's taking place here in the 44th conflict. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 77. A lot of late-breaking details here. Colonials hold on to Mercy's Wish in Lockmore, at least for now. However, they appear to be losing control rapidly of the salt farms in the Deadlands. At Mercy's Wish, approximately 20-plus Wardens had been attacking the town's northwest approach, moving south to capture the nearby bridgehead, attempting to cut off the only colonial land route into the peninsula and therefore the entire sector. Legionnaire infantry has recognized and moved into the garrison to garrison the bridge area, but it remains unknown if they have solidified it with defensive emplacements. Meanwhile, at the salt farms, the town has taken a substantial beating. Weeks earlier, the northern approach had been an imposing line of defenses and kill zones thrusting towards the pits. Now, approximately 25 plus wardens have made contact with the town hall and are set to destroy it at any moment now. If the wardens manage to capture town hall, which they are set to do, the last colonial holdout will be Liberation Point in the region's western edge. How the situation is there for the colonials, we're not quite sure. Finally, in Drowned Vale, wardens have been attempting to contain and eject collie positions in the southwest, but it seems the colonials are making use of warden distraction elsewhere to make small pushes on the fort at Wisp's warning, taking out the fort and hoping to rebuild the fort in their image. They can carve out the territory as their own. They'll be well within howitzer range of Loggerhead Town Hall from across the small creek that inundates the sector. In fact, we've just received word, that Salt Farms Town Hall has fallen. Presence of multiple warden vehicles in the area, most likely armored cars, possibly a CV. But we're not quite sure. Details are sketchy, but we do know that Salt Farms safe house in the western part of the town still remains, but that is most likely going to fall as well. A general retreat from the area, it seems, for the collies, and we're not quite sure if they'll be able to secure Liberation Point. It is also possible that the colonials will be unable to defend Liberation Point as well, considering that this warden army may move to take out that town. Indeed, they'll have quite a time trying to secure Liberation Point, considering there are plenty of land routes available for raiders to try and destroy colonial logistics going into the town. It may be possible that they'll have to call a retreat for the entire region altogether. If the colonials also manage to lose the Deadlands, they will lose 2 of the 3 central regions. However, going back to Wisp's warning, it seems we're also receiving late-breaking details that the colonials have rebuilt the fort at Wisp's warning, possibly owing to some small colonial troop movements in the area, but also we know for sure that they'll have a clear shot into the loggerhead if they can commit the troops and resources to do it. But for now, the wardens well on the offensive and are looking to break even further into legionary territory. With updates every 15 and 45 of the hour if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash, flashing very brightly and very fast before we can even write the scripts here. But we're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue. If you were at the Salt Farms, if you were attacking Mercy's Wish, if you were trying to take back Wisp's warning, then please call in and let us know of how things are and what things were like. We'd love to get your story. But for now, let's get back to the music. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 77. Lots of late-breaking details here for you, and we've got an undeveloped script, but we'll try and make do where we can. Wardens capture the Salt Farms in the Deadlands, the strongest collie position in the region. Additionally, Liberation Point, the last colonial town in the region, is reportedly seeing advancing wardens from the north with no substantial colonial defense other than the garrison that is already there. It's projected that the town will fall within the next hour, assuming the wardens keep up their attack and the colonials do not provide additional reinforcements into the sector. However, in the other frontline regions, the collies seem to be finding some luck where they can get it. A counterattack from Mercy's Wish and Lockmore has been initiated across the regional border back into the Linn of Mercy. The first time the colonials have made any substantial, or rather any major pushes back into the Linn of Mercy for quite some time. with about 15 to 20 reported colonials moving northward at about, again, 20 or so wardens at the last grove in the southern southwest corner of the Lynn of Mercy at the fort there. We're not quite sure how well developed the counterattack is, if there's an outpost in the region or not. Again, these details are coming in very fresh, but we do know that the colonials at Mercy's Wish have managed to push off the wardens and launch a small counterattack at the last grove. And in the Drowned Vale, colonials have made good on their gains at Wisp's Warning in the northwest corner of Drowned Vale, and seem to be making a concerted push, a much more concerted push, into Loggerhead. Warden defenders have rallied somewhat in the area and appear to be putting up a line of defense. However, it appears the colonials do have the upper hand, considering that they've been able to catch the wardens off guard. Now, whether the colonials can follow through and actually destroy and capture Loggerhead, we'll have to wait and see. But a good sign of events for the colonials, considering the very good fortune the wardens have been having in the last few hours. With updates every 15 and 45 of the hour, if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this, of course, is Foxhole Flash. Make sure to call in if you've got a line to the front, some sort of perspective that we may not necessarily have. Any information that may be inconsistent with what we're putting out, please let us know and call in. Make sure to get your story on the air. Additionally, any stories you wish to tell of things you've seen in the past few hours or any way, then we'll make sure to get you into the call queue. Make sure to submit yourself into the call queue, and we'll make sure to get yourself back here in the studio and call in. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 78. Wardens capture the salt farms in the Deadlands, although the colonials have managed to hold onto Liberation Point towards the northwest for now. How tenable the position is, we're not sure, although it will be the last stronghold for the colonials in the Deadlands, having lost the nearby fort of Sun's Hollow. In Lockmore, the colonials attempted a counterattack from Mercy's Wish in the wake of the Warden assault on the town, and managed to make contact with the fort at the last grove across up north in the Lynn of Mercy. But it appears the colonials have fallen back, having secured the regional border, which was most likely their primary goal. And the Legionnaire push towards Loggerhead in Drowned Vale appears to have stalled out, although they still hold the fort at Wisp's Warning and have moved to begin skirmishes in the outlying hills. However, meanwhile, over in the southeast of the region, the Warden Town Hall at Coldrifter Stead was destroyed about 20 minutes ago, although we don't know how. We don't have any indication of a concerted colonial offensive into the sector, and the town hall has since been rebuilt very recently, most likely attributed to a colonial sneaking in, possibly throwing HEs or maybe even a small attack group before coming off. But Coldrifterstead has since been rebuilt very recently. Finally, in latest development of weapons deployed to this war here in the 44th, the mortar has just been deployed. That will be the first fire support weapon deployed here in the 44th, here in day 78. That is certainly actually, I take that back. I take that very much back indeed. That'll be the first handheld one, the only handheld one. Howitzers have been deployed for quite some time. I forgot about that for a second. But yes, this will be the second fire support item after howitzers, and of course before the field artillery, if that makes contact here, if we manage to reach that far in, and then possibly the presence of gunboats as well. But we do have a slew of listeners who have called in, and if you'd like to participate here in the discussion, then please call in through the Discord link below. Stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link and get into the call queue, and we'll make sure to get your calls into the air. So we'll start off here with the first person here in the call queue. We have Orange or Orangang? Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you perfectly well.
That's great. Where are you calling from, may I ask?
At the moment, I am in Houston, Texas. I just arrived back after a long Thanksgiving up north.
Okay,
I'm not
yes.
going to give us... Anyways, yes, I mostly wanted in because I got a kind of funny story I have from the end of last war.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's something... Basically what happened was that 3 colonial high-rankers were cutting off lodges on wildwood, and they were doing it really well, really effectively. Had an AC and everything. So what I went ahead and did was that I took a lot of Civil War tactics, because I'm a Civil War nerd, and I went guerrilla warfare on them. I took a radio backpack, and I started running around. Eventually, AC caught me and cornered me around with a LUV. With a radio backpack on and a weapon with, I think it was 5 clips, it was an SMG, I managed to evade on foot, getting run over and getting shot by either the LUV or the AC for a solid 2 minutes. For anybody who wants to do this, my advice is, if you're in a situation like this, always put the LUV between you and the AC. They can't shoot at unless they want friendly fire, they can't shoot at the LUV. The AC can't shoot at the LUV. So, that's my story. The actually hilarious part about it was that I think I managed to start getting the enemy to laugh at how long I was able to do this. I was surprised I did it too. Basically, for everybody out there who's in a situation like this, remember, the greatest weapon on the battlefield is the infantryman. If you have a grenade on you, that's great, or you can always try and distract the enemy. They'll always go after the human being who gets close. And if you play your cards right, you can kill them on foot.
Okay, well, it's a very, very handy battlefield advice, especially for a lot of the new infantry who are being deployed here in this war and will be deployed in the upcoming wars. But thank you so much for calling in, Orangang. Did you have anything else for us here?
Actually, I was a little surprised how early up in the queue I got, because I didn't even technically put in my queue request until just now after Coolcat. Oh, I might have been up there earlier. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I'm a little bit surprised I got in this early. Thank y'all for having me. Also, the B-36 Peacemaker was a horrible aircraft. Peace out.
Okay. Thank you so much. We have another caller here coming into the call queue. We have the Roughneck's very own Coolcat. Coolcat, thank you so much for calling in. Did you have may I ask where you're calling in from?
I am coming in from Liberation Point right now.
Okay, Liberation Point. You're a warden, right? The Roughnecks are a warden group regiment.
Yeah, okay. That's correct.
And can you disclose approximately how many wardens are participating in the attack on Liberation Point?
At least maybe 15 or more, including an AC and an FMG. We almost lost the FMG there for a moment, but enemy AC tried and rushed it right now, but we did kill it.
Mm-hmm. Now, were you at the attack on the salt farms that took place about an hour ago, more or less?
Yes, I was there. I was one of the ACs that pushed on it.
Can you actually go into detail about the salt farms and how long that offensive had been? Because if I remember, the salt farm, the defensive perimeter on the salt farms had jettisoned far into the pits before finally being pushed all the way back to town hall.
Well, I was not there for most of it, but from when I showed up with the AC, we were able to use artillery to start pushing them back. And once we got them to enough of a unstable position, we were able to push up with ACs and combined forces with the infantry and artillery covering us.
Mm-hmm. And then, in terms of capturing it, how easy was it in comparison to what the initial layer of defenses that you had seen outside of the town once you had managed to penetrate into the town?
Very much. Most of the defenses were just the forward defenses. That was really it. Everything else was just nothing, really. They had garrisons up, but that was really it.
Okay, so once you had pierced the outer shell, it was much easier getting closer to the town. Okay. Well, if you're outside Liberation Point right now,
we're pushing in.
Oh, you're pushing into Liberation Point. Okay, then we'll.
Infantry, get on the other side now! Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Infantry pushing in from the south.
Do you believe? We'll cut it off here because we know you're busy. But do you believe you'll be able to take Liberation Point in the next hour or so?
Probably. It would definitely be, if we cut off their logi, and since one of their ACs has been killed, we should be able to have this within ease. Should be an hour or so. But infantry is a big issue right now. We could use more support.
Okay. Well, Coolcat of the Roughnecks, did you have anything else for us here?
That's pretty much it. Just slowly pushing in right now. Target those garrison, guys! Target those garrison!
Alright, Coolcat, thank you so much. We'll get you back to the action.
No problem.
And we actually have a third caller. A lot of the callers coming in right now. Love it. Absolutely appreciate it. Is the 45th's very own Marcus. Marcus917. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello, yes. May I ask where you're calling in from?
I'm calling in from Denmark.
From Denmark, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a story with us here or a current update on the battlefield from where you are?
I have a story.
Okay.
So it was one from yesterday and today. So from yesterday, the 45th was out doing anti-partisan hunting in south of the salt farms, trying to make sure that supplies would keep on running. Mm-hmm. So we successfully did that. But when we left again, sadly, a Warden armored car came by and began raiding as well. But we held the supply route open, so it could hold out at least until today. And when we tried it later today, we had 3 armored cars and some infantry support. But when we crossed the border, the issue was they had an armored car and they could just, they had the bushes to their advantage. So we tried to make sure that Logi could push through, but sadly it was impossible today.
Okay, yeah, a lot of the bushes, where they're grouped up in and around the center of the of the war. Very tricky, very difficult for honestly anything to clear out, because it's so easy to just jump into a bush. Did you eventually have to abandon that approach?
We had to abandon it totally. We tried to push through, but we saw if we kept trying, we would just lose the armored cars, and it would be more of a race of resources that we would gain from it. Mm-hmm. So we decided to disengage. We couldn't do anything. The brave defenders of salt farms held out for a long time without soldier supplies. But yeah, it was impossible. They had the entire Logi region under lockdown.
Yeah, I had known that it was kind of a soft encirclement, considering just how tricky it was to get supplies into the force. We had talked with Coolcat of the Roughnecks earlier, from giving us the warden perspective of the attack on the town. Can you tell us what happened? Would you say that it would be fair to say that most of the defenses were outside of the town, were in a kind of a shell towards the front, facing towards the pits? And would that be an accurate way to describe the defensive layout of salt farms before it fell?
I was not necessarily in the salt farms at the time today when it was about to fall and it fell. But from looking at what it was yesterday, yeah, I would say there was a lot of front-facing defenses going north towards the pits, but there was also some facing, the other directions as there normally would be, so no partisans can go inside the town.
Okay. Well then, I've been watching that approach towards the salt farms for quite some time from the map, and it looked like such absolute hell. Considering, I was assuming there was exchange of howitzer fire as well to couple that.
Sadly, when I was trying to push in towards to open the logistics route to salt farms, and never actually came into the town whilst they were under attack. I had one guy that has travel issues, so he was in salt farms fighting, but I didn't hear anything about howitzer fire. All I know is that it held out for a long time without many supplies, which I'm really proud of my fellow colonial soldiers holding out for that long time.
Right. Well, it looks like it may have been the front end advancing too rapidly for howitzers to even be present in the assault farms.
At some point, yeah, when they really began pushing in towards the town hall, I looked on the map and I just saw a lot of blue dots close to the town hall, and I knew it was over at that point.
And I don't know if you're deployed right now to the war, but do you think the colonies will be able to hold on to Liberation Point?
Considering I saw the defenses, from what I saw yesterday, we were also up in Liberation Point. They were okay, but I think not necessarily they would be able to hold on, because after the last assault farms, all the players there would be in disarray. They would scramble to get either into Liberation Point or the front lines, but they really have to get some more Legion and some more people. And I think they'll be able to hold as long as the Legion routes keep open.
It's looking at the geography of Liberation Point, it's a lot clearer, easier for attackers to approach it, and not only that, but easier for attackers to envelop and surround the town as well. Looking at the supply routes into the town, there's a lot of opportunities there. So we'll see how that holds out. But Marcus, did you have anything else for us here?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, well then, Marcus, of the 45th, what's the full name? Is it just the 45th?
It's the 45th Division, but
45th Division.
We just call it the 45th. It's much easier.
Sure, 45th, and you are considered a colonial regiment, is that correct?
Yes, colonial clan indeed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Marcus, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
You as well. Well, with updates every 15 and 45 of the hour, if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this has been Foxhole Flash. We will see you very soon, and it seems that, yes, the Wardens have been making very strong strides on the toughest of colonial positions, from First Coin to Salt Farms, though they haven't been able to move on the baths quite yet, and Collie's coming out of there, so we'll see how that develops. But for now, let's go back to the music. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 78. Liberation Point, the last colonial stronghold in the Deadlands, is on the precipice of falling, with Warden troops just outside the door laying down ordnance. If they can capture the town, they'll finally be able to lock down the infamous region. Actually, I think we've just got word that the town hall at Liberation Point has just been destroyed. That town hall is no more. No word yet on the Warden capture, but I think we can confirm that the Colonial Safe House on the south end of the town is still operating. But how long that'll last, we're not quite sure. We're not confident that it'll stay for very long. At the regional border between southwest Lynn of Mercy and northwest Lochmore, both sides appear to be at an effective stalemate. It all started when a Warden attack from the last grove in Lynn moved southward across the regional border and tried to attack Mercy's Wish from the northwest. They initially tried to move to cut off the town from its only land route, that being the bridge across the way over the Lochmore. However, that was repelled, and then the Colonials were able to launch a counterattack from the Wardens who were in retreat, managed to cross the border back, and then attempt to make contact, attempt to skirmish, start off a fight with the defensive emplacements at Last Grove. Of course, that was repelled in kind. That counterattack eventually was ended, but they were able to successfully stop the primary attack onto Mercy's Wish, and again we find ourselves here at a stalemate. We are most likely going to see a back and forth across that stretch of land between Last Grove and Mercy's Wish for the next few hours, until a substantial push is enough to break one side. And in Drown Vale, Warden forces renew their efforts to take the southwest quadrant, taking out the forts of Wisp's Warning in the northwest and the Willow Wood in the southwest. If the collies do not respond, they may find their supply routes to the baths, their last remaining town hall in the region, cut off, just as they were at the formerly imposing salt farms, for the position there was lost after being surrounded and cut off. And finally, mortars. Mortars have begun their deployment onto the battlefield here in the 44th. No doubt going to see a lot of action as the lines attempt to congeal into something more solidified. Especially with it's often been reported that mortars find themselves paired with LUVs in an attempt to quickly hit a position, launch a couple of shells, and then move out, quickly escape from the area before they can be responded to. Well, that's all we've got for now, with updates every 15 and 45 of the hour if available. I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue. Enter the call queue, and we'll make sure to get your point of view. There you go, your point of view on the air for others to hear about. Well, in the meantime, let's get back to the music. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 79. Warden infantry and armored car units look to encircle the baths in Drowned Vale, having taken out the Collie Fort at Eastmarch, and have started attacking the outer defenses of the last colonial town. So far, about 10 plus Warden units are participating, approaching from both the western approach from solid land, as well as the small island connections to the northeast of the town, although that is a much less successful endeavor owing to the choke points there. No word yet if colonials from other regions are attempting to relieve and reconnect the increasingly beleaguered baths. If the baths falls to the Wardens, it will complete the Warden lockdown of the central regions, allowing them to launch fresh offensives deeper into colonial territory. The collies, for their part, may have to get creative in how they try to re-enter the central regions, assuming they don't commit to a completely defensive posture. Again, we want to accentuate that mortars have been deployed to the battlefield in the past hour or so. Again, you'll be seeing plenty more cheeky, so they say, moves towards uses of fire support in conjunction with probably the LUV or just general infantry pushes. With updates every 15 and 45 of the hour if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue. If you'd like to re-enter the call queue, just make sure to make it known there on the list, and we'll make sure to get you back on the air whenever we can. But for now, let's get back to the music. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 79. The Warden attack on the colonial held of the Baths appears to have eased somewhat for now, although the blue forts that now stand at Eastmarch and the Willow Woods indicates the attack will inevitably renew again, considering the temptation of such an easy cutoff around the Vale's geographic features. In case it wasn't clear, once again, the Baths is now cut off due to the presence of blue forts to the northwest and its northwest and southwest, and of course the large waterways to its east. Elsewhere in the town of the Baths, Collie troops are coalescing around the safe house and island on the north end of town, repelling Warden skirmishers attempting to force their way in. No word yet if howitzers are in play, but it would certainly be a good place for it. And in the Lynn of Mercy, the Wardens have lost Fort Duncan. No word yet if the colonials are actually attacking in force or if it was simply a hit and run, but at least it has proved the porousness of the lines in the tri-regional area, that is, Prairie Bazaar, West March, and Liberation Point. One should keep in mind the possibility of a water insertion. Well, with updates every 15 and 45 of the hour, if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We'll keep an eye on the bats and see if there's any developing news in terms of large-scale assaults or possible retreats. We're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue. If you'd like to be on the air, make sure to enter the call queue so that we may know when you'd like to actually go on. But for now, let's get it back to the music. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 80. Wardens in the northern small island approach of the Baths have made progress capturing the island containing the safe house, although they haven't captured the safe house itself. Regardless, colonials have fallen back just a few dozen meters away to the Baths shipyard and appear to be solidly holding for the moment. But if the collies want to hold on to the Baths entirely, they will need to recapture the safe house island, since its ability to house a howitzer that can hit the town hall makes it a priority. Meanwhile, wardens continue to poke and prod the Baths from the forts along the town's western approach. It's unknown how the colonials are supplying the Baths, if they're able to supply it at all, which is unlikely given the presence of the two blue forts guarding the entryway. For all intents and purposes, the Baths is cut off. Some efforts to reconnect the colonial town from the west from Umbral Wildwood have been made and are being made. We're not aware of how large those efforts are. If you're partaking in such an effort, then please let us know. Call in. But for now, we do know that the Baths has been cut off, at least in terms of its supply routes. It is still under attack from the north. Meanwhile, Fort Duncan in the Lynn of Mercy remains unclaimed. Colonials destroyed it about, 40 minutes ago. However, the wardens have not moved in to take it back, which means that either the colonials are able to control the area and simply haven't retaken the fort, or the wardens aren't even giving it the time of day. We'll have to find out as soon as the area develops more. With updates every 15 and 45 of the hour, if available, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We're also taking calls live on the air, as always, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below, enter the call queue. We'll see whenever we can. It looks like we actually have some callers right now. Hello. Hold on. Yes, this is the 45th Division. Marcus, you're live on the air here on
Yes.
You're on the Foxhole Flash. Where are you calling in from?
Calling from Denmark, and I want to give you an update on Lockmore.
Okay, so you're calling in from Lockmore, yes.
Yes. Right now, I'm trying to build up a defensive line to see if we can defend against the warden that counters the warden attack that will eventually show up. You know.
This is Mercy's Wish? Or you can't disclose that?
I can't disclose my location right now because I don't want any warden partisans. There's already been one.
That's fair. But yes, you are trying to rebuild defenses along the area. Now, if you are either at Mercy's Wish or at Westmarch or somewhere else, the tri-regional area, you certainly got your work cut out for you. You've got the Last Grove in Lynn of Mercy Southwest. You've got the Prairie Bazaar. You've got Liberation Point and the Salt March. A whole lot of ground to cover. Are you working with others to try and make that happen?
Right now I'm working alone. I worked with others before, but as the partisans came, the one partisan came, they lost them. Basically, the truck, we had 3 trucks filled with B-mats. I recovered the trucks and the B-mats, so I'm continuing to build. What I'm trying to do is create like strong points near the forts to make sure they're the strongest, because since we won't have any active defenses out in the field, it will be impossible to cover that. It will just be a waste of B-mats.
Okay. Now, do you think there'll be any kind of response from the colonials to try and root out these commando units hiding among the bushes, haunting the trails? Or will you simply have to rely on your own wits while building up this defensive line?
Right, I've only had one incident with a single warden in a jeep, so it hasn't been that bad, but I have a rifle just in case. You can never be too safe.
All right,
The entire purpose of this defensive line is to slow down the warden attack so the colonials can get a response before we lose everything.
Okay. Actually, we're just receiving word, too, that the Wardens have made their way back into Mercy's Wish, or rather, renewed the attack on Mercy's Wish from the northwest, same as they did a few hours ago. Do you think you'll be able to keep them at bay as you did last time?
From what I'm seeing on the map, I think we would have sufficient defenses, and I would, if it came to that it would be that situation, I can always stop building and switch over to help defend Mercy's Switch.
Okay. Well, did you have anything else for us here, Marcus?
Yeah, one thing I've noticed a lot as a colonial soldier, where I've noticed multiple times, whenever we have the baths in the Drowned Vale, we always end up getting cut off and losing it.
Right, yeah, it's a consistent thing. We're tracking it right now. It's about to happen again, assuming things keep trending that way. Do you have any advice for those over in the baths? Any pointers? Even though you're not on the field, maybe you can give some armchair advice.
All I would say is to try to hold out for as long as possible. The longer you hold out, the more time the builders have to reinforce the front line and hopefully keep the wardens at bay. So they're making a great sacrifice for the greater good, and I'm really proud of the boys in the baths defending against the warden menace.
Okay, Marcus, thank you so much for calling in. Duly appreciate it.
Yeah, have a nice evening.
Yes, absolutely. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
We also have another caller here. Let's see. The Roughnecks Coolcat, a warden.
Hello there.
Hello, yes. Coolcat, welcome back. Do you have any updates from first of all, where are you calling from? If you can disclose that.
I am coming from the Bass safe house right now. Jesus Christ, that machine gun's loud.
Okay. You're at the Bats. Right, so you're at that island north of the Bats, hosting that which hosts that safe house, right?
Yes.
Do you think you'll be able to break through?
So far right now we got two ACs, a mortar team, and our outs are continuously breaking through and machine guns. God damn, they're loud. Keep firing, man! Okay,
so we've got howitzers, the presence of howitzers at the baths firing on the town hall.
Jesus. Move out the gas now! They're showing our howitzer right now.
So we've got counter battery action as well. How many units would you say are involved with this assault?
Warden or Colonial?
You know what, let's say both. From your perspective, how many from the Colonials and Wardens?
For Wardens, I can roughly say about, I'm going to give around 40, maybe 30 men. For Colonials, from what reports, recon tells us, maybe less than that. Probably around 20, 25.
Okay, so possibly a 2-to-1 situation going on here, at least from your perspective?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what can you owe to the breakthrough from the north? Well, what did you say is the single largest factor that the Wardens used to apply to actually take the northern islands, north of the Bath?
From taking the town hall?
So the progress so far, actually, I think the Wardens have taken the shipyard island at the Baths. Is that correct, from your point of view?
No, the only issue is the garrison houses right now. They're kind of hard to push through, but we have mortar teams working on them. It's just that their counter battery is really killing us, right?
Right, okay. So Colonials firing back with counter battery. We had known that their position had been cut off for not too terribly long, but enough that we weren't sure just how long
oh shit! Sorry about that. Enemy AC just showed up.
All right, well, we'll get you back to it.
Shit, fuck, they're counterattacking!
Coolcat, that was the Roughnecks Coolcat. Plenty of action going on at the baths. We'll have to keep an update. We'll have to keep you posted on just how much, just where the lines will be falling, because we can clearly see a back and forth. Both sides appear to have fire support on their side, so we'll have to see where those shells will land and where the troops will land at the next report. So for now, let's get back to the music here. 15:45 of the hour, and taking calls on the air. Please, if you are at the baths or maybe taking part in attack or defense elsewhere, please call in. Call through the PressCorps Discord through the link below. We'll try and get you on the air. For now, though, let's get back to the music. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 40th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 80. Critical progress has been made in the colonial effort to reconnect and relieve the town of the Baths in Drowned Vale. Earlier, we had reported the wardens held the forts of Eastmarch towards the town's northwest and Willow Wood towards the town's southwest, two blue hardpoints that effectively gatekeep any supplies from the region's west. And while the warden fort at Eastmarch remains, we can confirm the Colonials have recaptured the fort at Willow Wood. Supply convoys will still no doubt need escorts, but for now it seems there is still hope that the collies can hold out. Collies aren't out of the woods yet, however, as the wardens still hold the northern safe house island, where a blue howitzer continues to pester legionary positions, and Sevish units still have a straight shot at the town from the western approach from Eastmarch as well. We do know that both sides have, at least last we heard, both sides have fire support available to them, both in the forms of mortars and howitzers, so plenty of battery and counter battery persisting here in the fight for the Baths. With the Colonial reconnect and resupply considering they had resecured the forts southwest, then they will be able to continue such fire support in the coming hours. In other news, the shipping freighter has been deployed to the seas and waterways of the Siva Valley conflict regions. An often underappreciated vehicle, logistics groups have historically excelled with the freighter, and of course, in particular, towards towns that have harbors. Updates every 15:45 of the hour if available. I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. We're also taking calls live on the air, so make sure to stop by PressCorps World Headquarters through the Discord link below and enter the call queue. Enter the call queue so we know when you'll want to get on. But for now, let's get back to the music, and we'll make sure to keep our eye on the Baths because there is a lot developing there. Collies still holding on to the Shipyard Island, while wardens holding on to the Safe House Island. A lot of close quarters combat. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 44th conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 81. The fight at the Baths continues, although things have ground to a stalemate. Back and forths are taking place in the small island housing the local shipyard. No doubt fire support is also playing a big role, whether actually firing or simply the threat of firing dictating how infantry maneuvers. And the wardens still have yet to actually capture the safe house, probably most likely due to the threat of colonial howitzer fire or mortar fire in the area. We do know that the casualty numbers coming in from the region, from Drowned Vale, are practically even. 8,439 warden dead compared to 8,573 colonial dead. Pretty much breaking even there. Meanwhile, in the wider war here in the 44th, casualty numbers coming in from foxholestats.com, 56,614 warden dead compared to 59,919 colonial dead. There in about a difference of 3,500, a widening gap for the collies. Certainly they would like to close that gap, but owing to the lockdowns of Deadlands and the Lynn of Mercy, casualties were incurred. Meanwhile, we are receiving word of a warden encroachment into Umbral Wildwood, specifically north of the Foundry. Reports indicate a warden outpost in the northwest corner of the region. Approximately 10-plus units from both Colonials and Wardens each are engaged in the northern road, with the Wardens holding the high ground from the hill. We'll watch to see how it escalates, but for now it seems to be contained to that northwest corner. We'll see if either side decides to move around the tri-regional area. And in other news, the Wardens still have not taken back Fort Duncan. It was destroyed about, I want to say, 2.5 hours ago, more or less, but the Wardens have not recaptured the fort despite them holding onto the Prairie Bazaar. We can't confirm if it's simply the Colonials holding the area, continuously raiding the area and not capturing the fort, or if the Wardens simply aren't bothered to take it back. But regardless, it has not been claimed, at least not in such a high battle area. Well, we're going to bring in a caller now. We're going to bring in a caller. The 45th's Marcus returns once again. Marcus, thank you so much for calling in once more. Do you have any updates for us? Where are you calling from in terms of the front line?
The Baths this time.
You're calling in from the Baths. Yes.
Yes.
We've been noticing it has been a back and forth. Can you tell us how things are in front of you?
Yeah, I can literally just run up. I have a pair of binos, so I want to give you just how it is right now.
Sure, yeah, go right ahead.
Right now, we are pushing over. We are pushing with armor car support. The Wardens had howitzer support earlier, so they pushed it a bit back. But now we're pushing them.
Okay,
we
so
seem to be pushing them. They don't have any active defenses in the area. We just lost an armored car, it seems.
How about Warden armor? How about Warden fire support? Do the Wardens have any active fire support in the area?
Yes, they have howitzers. They have just dropped some gas on us.
Okay, a howitzer, and it's firing. It is firing on the front, on the spearhead, tip of the spear for the Colonials.
Yes.
Okay, so it's most likely they have a howitzer, not just in that safe house island, but also a few islands back, most likely.
Yes, and one of our armor cars has just been incapacitated. They got gassed to death.
Okay, that makes sense.
Death.
I just want to remind our listeners that the effective range of a howitzer is 75 meters minimum, which means it cannot fire anything below 75 meters, and 150 meters maximum. It cannot fire anything over 150 meters. But still, if the Wardens have found that sweet spot, any advancements are going to be very difficult, and that's why we've been calling it effectively a stalemate, a back and forth for the past hour or so here. But do you think the supply lines into the Baths have been more or less resecured from the Willow Wood?
Indeed.
Okay, so you can confirm that. Okay.
I actually have a screenshot of a flatbed convoy leaving the Baths.
Right. Yeah. If you have any photography, feel free to submit that towards the submissions in the PressCorps Discord. Make sure to showcase that.
Submissions.
How many? Yeah, submissions. Go ahead and just put that in submissions.
Oh,
yeah. And maybe add a caption to it as well. How many, approximately, if you can disclose this, approximately how many Colonials are working in the Baths in that sector overall?
Oh, we were definitely between the 30 and 40.
30 and 40. So it is a full-on battle. Okay. And we're getting reports that, of course, the Wardens primarily attacking from the northern island approach, but also from the northwest every now and then, some skirmishing happening northwest of the Baths from the East March.
I can't confirm that, but
Okay.
I can confirm there should still be a couple partisans running around in the area.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else for us in terms of confirming a lot of what we already were surmising in terms of just how much of a bloody stalemate it is? Can you illustrate that any more for us?
Yeah, we got so many BMATs since we have a factory that we are now self-sufficient while getting supplies, creating new weaponry. We're self-sufficient in doing that.
Yes, there is a There is a factory in the baths. There is a storage depot. There is a construction yard, and a shipping yard, although that's currently under contention. So as long as resources are being poured into, materials are being poured into the baths, you're saying it can be self-sufficient.
Yes. Yeah, we just need BMATs and some explosive materials, and then they should be able to hold. I just posted the convoy leaving.
Okay, yes.
I also have another screenshot. It was from a line of HMG gunners standing, just sitting there together.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Go ahead and submit as many as you'd like. But if you didn't have anything else for us, thank you so much for calling in, letting us know what it's like down there.
This will be my last submission of the night, since I have to go to bed at this point. But yeah,
I understand. No, absolutely, of course. Got to catch some sleep in between howitzer volleys.
Yeah. All right, see you, man.
Well, Marcus of the 45th, thank you so much. Are you a leader of the 45th?
Yes, I am.
You are a leader of the 45th. Okay.
I am
Colonial
the Major
Regiment
General.
there.
It's a division.
It's a division, right? The division. Do you are you accepting new members as well?
Always.
Open recruitment.
There's only one requirement. There's only one requirement, that you are colonial.
That you are colonial. That makes sense. Okay, well, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us here on the air. Duly appreciate it. Thank you so much for participating.
All right, see ya.
Have a good one. All right, well, joining us next here on the call is Coolcat of the Roughnecks. Coolcat, thank you so much for calling in once again. Where are you calling in from this time?
I am calling in from Weathered Expanse, actually.
Weathered Expanse. Okay, that's far a ways back. That's pretty much the back of the back line here for the 44th conflict. What are you doing right now?
Currently, I'm trying to get some supplies to head down to the baths. Unfortunately, we lost our last ace to an anti-tank mine that we did not notice.
Oh, okay. So some commando work there, making short work of logistics. Do you think? Well, actually, trucks can't activate landmines, right?
No, they cannot.
Can they activate?
ACs can.
Okay, armored cars can. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay. Yeah. Do you know if off the top of your head? Don't worry about it. But do you know if the flatbeds can as well?
Flatbeds cannot. It has to be a highly heavy vehicle. So anything armored would probably.
All right, that makes sense. Sure. And what do you plan on doing with that armor? Well, do you have a new armor car? I forgot.
Yes, we currently do right now. It's currently on its way right now. But War and Navy is currently actually getting supplies going down there as soon as they.
Okay, understood. Well then, good luck to you. And do you have any words for the audience here?
Well, we've been fighting over these islands for the past 3 days, and I say I'm getting mighty tired of this crap. So hopefully by the end of tonight, we should be able to take this.
I think you and the Colonials as well are very tired of it indeed. All right, well, if you didn't have anything else for us here, thank you so much for calling in.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Farewell. You know, we're going to get some late-breaking details here as well, that the Warden Town halls at Cold Drifter Stead and Bootnap have both been destroyed. That taking place in the last, want to say, my goodness, how long ago? Just in the last 10 minutes. So again, I want to confirm that Bootnap and Cold Drifter Stead have both been destroyed. Town halls at both those places have been destroyed. The safe house at Bootnap is still standing. We are not sure if the Colonials are actually launching a full-on attack to capture the towns, or if simply the work of some commandos working behind the lines to throw the wardens off. But we'll keep an eye on that as well. We do have another caller here. We do have Spots, the Legionnaire. Spots, hello. You're live on the air here on Foxhole Flash. Thank you so much for calling in. Where are you calling from? Are you on the front line by any chance?
No, I'm just enjoying some time back at base camp.
Okay.
all the way back at headquarters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you have a story for us?
Actually, no. This is more a suggestion for a city in game. This is more like talking about abandoned ward.
Abandoned ward. Okay.
Yeah, in the lore, I'm basing this stuff off of my experience and the current in-game experience. Abandoned ward in the lore was everyone knows Abandoned ward was used to be the old warden capital of Suncap or something like that.
Sunhaven.
Sunhaven, yeah. But here's my question: why is Abandoned ward smaller than Saltbrook?
Why is Abandoned ward physically smaller than Saltbrook Channel? I am not sure. Abandoned ward is an island. Well, it's more or less an island. It's connected by some rocks, but it is effectively an island.
But I'm bringing up a second point. Abandoned ward is one of the most pain in the butt cities. Depending on what side gets the bottom half. The bottom half is the pain in the butt to just push into. Because all the green glass right there just prevents you from allows you to build defenses there. Well, meanwhile, for the defending side, if you're pushing through the northern way, it's easier to take because the enemy team has to hold the other half of the bridges. If you take one bridge, you can just easily push in because there's no ways to place defenses on the roads there. While on the other half, there's places to build a road. What I'm trying to say is that maybe it's time for Abandoned Ward to get redoed. It's been the same forever since I think World Conquest 20. It's like since update 20, it's just been the same.
Right. Well, it's a very important position, and it's one of the largest cities that we have in the Siva Valley regions. So
my idea is that first things first, we get rid of the rock range and build the city up on having like one main river running through it, like London in real life. And have all these little buildings built around it, like having like different districts a part of the city. Living something like what we have in the Blemish, like something like a Blemish but bigger with different districts. And there's gonna be like a refinery, but all the important buildings will be spread apart a bit. Like the refinery will be in one half, and the factory will be in the other half. So you have to control the entire city to get the full use of it.
Oh, yeah, that's certainly a thought. I think that's actually mirroring. I think you're describing Saltbrook Channel.
Yeah.
It's kind of what Saltbrook Channel is. It's a trading port. It's developed on both sides of the river, and it's sectioned off.
Yeah, but what else I'm saying is that my idea is that basically Abandoned Ward should be like have as well as that Abandoned Ward is maybe this is an interesting idea. A city that's so large that it actually requires 2 town halls. We don't really. That's actually a new thing that never happened in AR regions.
That's a possibility, although I've never heard of a town having 2 town halls. If it's just one town.
No, actually, there's a real life example. Wenatchee, which was a town where I used to live. Where it was a little bit away, but basically they had. West Wenatchee and East Wenatchee, which were 2 different towns but worked together, basically.
But they're 2 different towns.
Yeah, they're 2 different towns, split by a river.
Okay, well, we're possibly talking about semantics at this point, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't think there are plans for these cities and for these towns and these cities to really grow into. To really sprawl out in such a way where it might require 2 town halls, possibly the capitals, but that's well outside the conflict area. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But if we don't do that, but maybe have like if we can't add that, maybe make Abandoned Ward a unique city and have like a unique building in the middle of it, like something like an old old Capitol building that we have to capture. Because in the lore,
that's a thought.
Yeah, old Capitol building, like something like what we have with the keeps, like a unique building that we have to capture.
Maybe, yeah, that's a thought.
Yeah,
well, keep those suggestions in mind, and make sure to submit it to the Foxhole Discord. Make sure to put that in. Work on that one.
Yeah, because Abandoned Ward is just kind of an annoying city to push to if you're on the southern half. A second thing is that this map, come on, can we just get a ward that's north to south or side to side? I'm done with these diagonal maps. For example, this ward, the map was completely, if we're fighting side to side, the wardings, let's look at Ulster Falls, for example, which is a star city. We have to push across the river into Ulster Falls itself, but if we try to go around it, there's a mountain pass in the way, which is not the most cancerous thing out there. Bridge warfare is more cancerous, but considering that mountain passes are like one of the more cancerous things in the game, yeah, it's kind of almost impossible to take Ulster Falls.
That's a thought as well.
One thing I liked was there's two good maps out there. If we have limited space, I'm
gonna interrupt you for a second. Write these things down. I'm strongly you come in here all the time with all these suggestions, which is great. That's fantastic, and certainly I'm not stopping you. But I strongly suggest writing down these suggestions, list them off, and kind of develop them, flesh them out. Because it's one thing, to just say, hey, maybe we should do this, but supporting arguments are very important considering just how connected everything is to each other. Remember, this is a full-on war. So there's plenty of angles in which to approach each thing, and everything is connected, right? One small change will ripple out into various aspects. So you've got logistics to worry about, you've got geography to worry about, you've got how the flow of combat is. So again, I strongly suggest to write these things down, list them off. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full-on 5-paragraph essay, but certainly coordinating it off into bullet points, and recording these ideas in a place that can be easily read and accessed and submitted for others to read. Very important to getting those ideas actually heard.
As well as that, this war is one of the things that I just loved about. Last war, I was actually just looking around, and I found an old little bunker. It's in the region of Drownvale. There's a little bunker there. It's in between. It's near the baths, not the baths. The baths. It's actually, there's like a little bunker just southeast of it. I think southeast of it.
Is this an old bunker, or is this
bunker? Really old bunker.
Okay.
It basically had some old weapons in there. It had a heavy machine gun and a storm rifle. It mentioned that the machine.
So this was built by either Colonial or Warden, right?
Yeah, no, probably Warden because it was in the probably most likely a old. It was mentioning the machines of war. Not 100% sure if it was Colonial or Warden, but it had a heavy machine gun and a storm rifle in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's falling apart as well. I noticed some bricks just hanging out there. Probably is falling apart because it's not been in use in a while.
Yeah. Well, did you have anything else for us here, Spots?
Nope, I'm good to go.
Okay, well, thank you so much for calling in.
Yep.
Duly appreciate it. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on the bats as usual, but this may be one of the last reports we'll have for a while. But we'll keep the radio, we'll keep the feed going, the transmission going. So for now, thank you so much all for calling in. And so far, it seems the narrative has shifted solidly for the Wardens, considering they have locked down the Linn of Mercy as well as the Deadlands, 2 of the 3 central regions here, and the Wardens do have a strong showing in Drownvale as well, but the Collies just have refused to submit and refused to be thrown off of the baths. And again, as we mentioned earlier, just about 15-20 minutes ago, the town halls of Bootnap and Coldrift or Stead have been destroyed, most likely from hit and run tactics, but still the fact that they can access it It proves that the region is still in contention. Can the Colonials hold the line in the back regions, which are slowly becoming the new frontline regions? We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, as always, make sure to visit PressCorps World Headquarters to the Discord link below and keep in touch with us as things continue to develop. For the PressCorps, I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Good night and good fight, as always.